It's Monday, December 13. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gill. Beginning today, Monday, December 13, Jamaica will offer a booster shot to all persons 18 years and older who have received a single dose of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The booster can be given with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine 2 to 6 months after the administration of the primary vaccination, or with the Pfizer vaccine 6 months after the primary vaccination. Also starting today, adults 60 years and older and healthcare workers will be given a booster dose of the other COVID-19 vaccines. The ministry recommends that a booster dose of the Pfizer vaccine be offered 6 months or more after the completion of the initial doses. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says a pension scheme for tourism workers will be introduced on January 1, 2022. Legislation giving effect to the scheme was approved by Parliament 2 years ago, but implementation was delayed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking at the official opening of the 444-suite Ocean Eden Bay Hotel in Trelawney last week, Minister Bartlett informed that starting next month, 350,000 tourism workers can begin registering to join the scheme. The Tourism Workers Pension Scheme is a defined contributory plan and will require mandatory contributions by workers and employers. Minister Bartlett says the government will provide $1 billion to start the fund. The Ministry of Justice signed a contract to upgrade and renovate the facilities at the Clarendon Parish Court. The contract, which was signed last Friday, is valued at approximately $120 million and will be executed by Gitcho Consultants and Construction Limited. Speaking at the contract signing ceremony held at the ministry's headquarters, Justice Minister Delroy Chuck reinforced the ministry's commitment to improve the facilities of the justice institutions across the island. Upgrades to the court building will also include retiling of walkways and corridors, installation of additional water storage, improved water and sewage facilities, improvement in electrical facilities and air conditioning units. 15 bedridden and infirmed inmates have been transferred to the Tamarind Farm Adult Correctional Center in St. Catherine and are receiving specialized care at its medical center and infirmary. Senator and Minister without portfolio in the National Security Ministry, Matthew Samuda, told the Senate on Friday that the inmates were transferred from the St. Catherine and Tower Street Adult Correctional Centers to the 25-bed facility.
There are not enough medical practitioners to meet the demands of the current population of inmates with special health care needs. I am happy to report, however, that since undertaking this review, the DCS has expanded its cadre of medical doctors to include 5 medical doctors and 6 health aides. The latter have been assigned to the infirmary. Additionally, approval has been granted, Mr. President, by the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service for the hiring of 12 psychiatrists and 10 psychologists to join the 2 psychologists currently on staff, a major increase in support.
The construction of the facility follows Indicom reports related to the death of 81-year-old Noel Chambers, a former inmate at the Tower Street Adult Correctional Center. His death was allegedly as a result of inadequate health care at the facility.
The government, in response, commissioned a comprehensive audit into the matter and committed to ensuring the implementation of a plan of action to address the identified deficiencies in an effort to improve the duty of care offered to these inmates.
The unavailability of sufficient human resources was another key issue highlighted by the review.
The second matter highlighted by Indicom surrounded the treatment and care of the wards at the Rio Cobra Juvenile Correctional Center, RCJCC. While the report highlighted several best practices in relation to the administration and treatment of the wards, these were overshadowed by allegations of breaches against the rights of the wards and contravention of key provisions of international conventions. Mr. President, having reviewed the findings of the report, I immediately commissioned the establishment of the Correctional Services Technical Working Group, comprising key stakeholders from select ministries, departments, and agencies, donor agencies, and other interested parties. The CSTWG was tasked to conduct a comprehensive review of the operations of all juvenile correctional centres, with special focus on the duty of care to the wards, particularly in relation to the appropriateness of disciplinary measures and the timely access to requisite educational and psychosocial interventions.
The minister says United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF Jamaica, has committed to partner with the National Security Minister to provide training for correctional officers in the areas of child rights and justice and support in developing standard operating procedures. Opposition Senator Floyd Morris wants prominent Jamaicans Jimmy Cliff, Bob Marley, Louise, Bennett and Usain Bolt to be honored as national heroes. He made the call in the Senate on Friday through a private member's motion. Senator Floyd Morris says Jimmy Cliff, Bob Marley, Louise Bennett and Usain Bolt have given sterling service to the nation.
And whereas the Honorable Robert Nestor Bob Marley, the Honorable James Chambers, Jimmy Cliff, the Honorable Louise Bennett Coverley, Miss Lou, and the Honorable Usain St. Leo Bolt have all given most distinguished service to Jamaica in the areas of music, sports, and culture. And whereas these citizens have presented Jamaica in a frabjous light across the world and contributed to the dominance of the country in reggae music, sports, and culture since the country gained political independence in 1962, and whereas their prodigious efforts through their careers have contributed to the global recognition of Jamaica, be it resolved that this Honorable Senate calls upon the government to put in place the necessary mechanisms and procedures for these iconic Jamaicans to be declared national heroes and heroines respectively.
The National Honours and Awards Act give the authority to the Governor-General to confer the status of national hero on a citizen of Jamaica, subject to recommendations from the Prime Minister. Senator Morris says the honours should be conferred to them in commemoration of Jamaica's 60th anniversary to be celebrated on August 6 next year. Members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, will be out in their numbers to enforce the Disaster Risk Management Act and maintain public order as Jamaicans get ready to celebrate the Yuletide season. That's the word from head of the Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch and Assistant Commissioner of Police, ACP Gary McKenzie. He was at a recent JIS think tank. ACP McKenzie says that non-geographic personnel like those in the Narcotics and the Criminal Investigation Branch are also engaged at this time of the year to shore up the number of boots on the ground.
Prairie larceny, and especially as it relates to cattle, that tends to trend, and it has started. We have also seen where robberies, in street crimes in particular, that trends at this particular time. We have been doing quite a bit of very good work within the corporate area, St. Catherine, St. James, St. Elizabeth, by virtue of the quick response teams that we have.
ACP McKenzie says the JCF anticipates heightened security concerns in areas where there is increased exchange of cash and goods and services.
For example, where we have banks, generally transactions are more. In the market area, there is more vending, more monies are passed. Persons tend to do a lot of shopping to, get gifts, and there is a lot more sale. And so the police try to occupy these places as much as possible to ensure that persons are safe.
He is encouraging persons to adhere to the COVID-19 protocols, especially the gathering limit.
We have some parishes that, we have to have within the radar. Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, the western parishes, St. James, Westmoreland. We have other parishes such as St. Anne, where activities are usually heightened at this time of the year. What we do generally in our plans is to ensure that our support units, they target these locations. And what we have done in the past, and we continue to do, is that where necessary, we move personnel to these locations and ensure that we can be effective in policing these areas.
The ACP says measures are also in place to address the expected increase in vehicular traffic on the roadways, which can lead to accidents.
For the latest financial market updates and insights, we go to the business desk for a quick report from Gabriel Thompson.
In foreign exchange trading for Friday, December 10, the US dollar sold for an average $155.19. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $122.12. The pound sterling traded for $206.04 and the euro sold for an average $176.97. In Friday's trading session, the JSE combined index advanced by 1,043 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 90 stocks, of which 33 advanced, 45 declined, and 12 traded firm. The junior market index declined by 14 points to close at over 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, AMD Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Cargo Handlers Limited. Stocks declined for Access Financial Services Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Variable Preference, 1834 Investments Limited, and Carreras Limited. Caribbean Producers Jamaica Limited was the volume leader with over 31 million units, followed by First Rock Capital Holdings Limited, USD, with 10 million units, and Proven Investments Limited, USD, with over 6.4 million units. In market data for oil, the commodity was steady on Monday, but new concerns about the Omicron coronavirus variant and doubts around the effectiveness of vaccines against it were weighing on prices. Brent was up 6 cents or 0.1% at $75.21 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude gained 9 cents or 0.1% to $71.76 a barrel. Both benchmarks posted gains of about 8% last week, their first weekly gain in 7. Before we go, here are quick updates from the Jamaica Stock Exchange's News Bulletin. Salada Foods Jamaica Limited has advised that effective October 1, the business operations of Mountain Peak Foods Processors Limited, including all its assets and liabilities, will be transferred to Salada. Mountain Peak Foods Processors Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of Salada Foods. Salada's board says it does not expect the transfer of the operational business and assets and liabilities to Salada to have any operational impact or material financial impact on the consolidated net assets, earning per share capital, and substantial shareholdings for Salada Foods. The board also does not foresee any significant risk or liability to be assumed by the company. And Grace Kennedy Limited GK has advised that Mr. Peter Moses will be retiring from the board of directors of the company effective today, in accordance with the company's articles having reached the retirement age for board members. GK says Mr. Moses will continue to serve in his capacity as chairman of the board of Grace Kennedy's commercial bank, First Global Bank Limited. And on that note, we close this Monday edition of the Business Report Inside the News on PBCJ. I'm Gabriel Thompson. Pleasant viewing.
Over now to regional news. Progress on the development of a land use policy for Grenada has finally taken a crucial step. A document is now before Cabinet to review and consider, which will speed up the process of creating vital mechanisms to manage lands across the country.
After several years of inquiries by the media and calls for members of the public to government to formulate and implement a land or zonal policy. Such an ideal is finally being realized. Issues surrounding the proper usage of the estimated 88,000 acres of land in Grenada have been a growing concern for citizens, with several disputes arising, especially related to the construction industry. Noting the increasing daily demand for land for housing, hotels and business, Minister for Lands Peter David said they have at last developed a management system.
We have to determine what land is for agriculture, what land is for housing, what land is for manufacturing, what land is for national parks, and insist on that.
A land policy is now before Cabinet, which includes a mechanism to manage lands, which according to the Minister will prevent the improper use of lands before it becomes too late to turn the tide.
To ensure that we do not end up putting our best agricultural lands into housing and our best housing lands into manufacturing, we need to develop a mechanism through which our lands are properly managed. We need to ensure that our forestry is well managed. Our watersheds, Mr. Speaker, sometimes we don't understand the importance of maintaining watersheds. Without proper management of our watersheds, we have a problem.
Minister David, in person on the concerns surrounding climate change and efforts to build resilience, said they must now ensure the land policy is properly developed and implemented.
And that is why also, Mr. Speaker, we have the issue of forestry. We have determined that we need to rehabilitate and have rehabilitated 1,600 feet of forest trails. And again, the Minister of Tourism, this is something that we work well with tourism on. We have to ensure that we develop a forest capacity plan. And we are having one developed with the support of the Climate Resilience Agriculture for Integrated Landscape Management Project.
Creating spaces for national parks for Grenadians, noted the Minister for Lands, will be integral to the land policy agenda, with government working with UNDP in this regard. I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
In St. Kitts and Nevis, as the year-end approaches with an unexpected increase in visitors and returning nationals, new regulations will ease travel and tourism. Glenn Bart reports.
As the year-end approaches with an expected increase in visitors and returning nationals, new regulations will ease travel and tourism in St. Kitts and Nevis. At the 10th December press conference held at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort, Minister of Tourism announced several measures that would take effect for cruise tourism and taxi services at the country's air and sea ports.
Only fully vaccinated travel-approved taxi and tour bus operators are permitted to operate at the RLB International Airport. Coaster vehicles are not permitted in the dispatching line at the RLB International Airport. Please note the following for the operations relating to cruise and Port Zante. 1. Only fully vaccinated travel and approved taxi operators will be permitted to operate at Port Zante during this second phase. 2. Cruise visitors who are desirous of exploring the island on their own are permitted to rent a vehicle from an official car rental company. 3. There will be no soliciting at Port Zante. There will be no soliciting at Port Zante. Taxi and tour operators are not permitted to stand at Port Zante with signs and call visitors. 4. Retail operators are not permitted to have individuals standing on the common corridors calling visitors. 5. Operators who are found soliciting will face disciplinary action by the security forces. 6. The two taxi associations and the taxi cooperative will collaborate with a team of the St. Kitts Tourism Authority to manage the dispatching system at Port Zante.
According to the Minister, the new tourism environment means that there would be higher value added to all the tourism product and services offered to visitors to the country. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
In Trinidad and Tobago, officers of the Belmont Police Station are hoping its Let's Run Crime Out initiative can put an end to rising crime incidents in the community and its environs. Woman Police Inspector Renee Bain-Keller, who spearheads the program, says the initiative is meant to promote community engagement and ensure the safety and security of those living in the community. Kimberly D'Souza tells us more.
In addition to protecting residents of the Belmont community, the Let's Run Crime Out initiative is meant to encourage officers to take control of their health. Woman Police Inspector Renee Bain-Keller, who developed the program in partnership with the St. Clair Police Station, said the two-pronged approach will also ensure citizens feel safe in their community.
So the Let Crime Run initiative, you're going to see a lot more foot patrols. We're going to be incognito. We're going to be in plain clothes. We're also going to be in uniform. So it means that it will give us an advantage to see the crimes as opportunities and to also assist persons in not becoming soft targets, to teach them the right techniques to bring alertness and for them to be aware of their surroundings.
Member of Parliament for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, Stuart Young, applauded the initiative since there has been an increase in criminal activity in the area. Incidents of stolen valuables from vehicles parked around the Queen's Park Savannah and along the Lady Chancellor Hill have been reported.
We will be working with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to try and make Belmont a safe community. We have been a safe community. We want the criminal elements to know we have the full support of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, who have been going over and above, especially since the start of the pandemic in Trinidad and Tobago.
Port of Spain Mayor Joel Martinez said citizens need to feel safe, especially during the Christmas season, when many take to the streets of the capital city to complete Christmas shopping.
As our officers have indicated to me, the police service has a mandate to take back control and run crime out of the St. Clair, Belmont, Port of Spain, anywhere, Woodbrook, St. James, anywhere in the city of Port of Spain. We must take the initiative from Belmont and St. Clair and Port of Spain to run crime out.
The Let's Run Crime Out initiative aims to be a comprehensive approach to crime prevention and detection and aims to restore public trust and confidence in the police service. Kimberly D'Souza, TTT News.
In sports, we get the ball rolling with football. Professional Football Jamaica has signed 3 new sponsors for the 2022 Jamaica Premier League. We get more in this report from Carol Francis.
The 3 new Premier League sponsors are Conserve IT Limited, Chemtech Development and Construction Limited, and Mount Pleasant Academy. The deals were inked recently. Professional Football Jamaica Chairman Christopher Williams welcomed the support. He twinned the success of the Premier League with that of the National Football Program.
We have been focused on driving the success of the Premier League because the Premier League provides the learning ground for the evolution and the development of our reggae boys. So where the Premier League goes, our national team goes. And so we continue along the process of growing the Jamaica Premier League into a massive marketing asset.
For their part, the sponsors were happy to be on board.
We've done a lot of work with them as a team, so we're actually giving them a photovoltaic system, a solar system for their player house, because we want to save them as much money as possible. And as a company, we wanted to do what we do best, which is to provide energy-saving solutions. So, which is why we just want to help.
We are attracted to the product because of the impact it has on the social landscape of Jamaica. And we at Chemtech have seen it as a responsibility to contribute through football. We have done that prior with the St. Anne Premier League, St. Anne Major League. And as such, we saw it as an extension to come on board again.
Jamaican Premier League, in its true context, is always going to be a league that's growing and developing, and the best way to do that is to ensure we support the talent that's in the league and provide a structure and a pathway for talent to come through. our involvement with the league is strategic. It's very important at this time.
The 2021 season was truncated owing to the COVID-19 pandemic. It is hoped that the 2022 Premier League will enjoy a more traditional duration. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Carol Francis.
And that's our package. You've just watched the news on PBCJ, the People's Station.